So I got bored at 4 a.m. like I usually do, and I decided to make a miniature for D&D. We got a bunch of miniatures lately, and my roommates are really into it, so inspiration. See, I had all these old skulls lying around from Halloween, and I didn't really have anything to do with them. I was going to paint them into a sort of zombified sentient skull boss sort of deal. Now it's important to notice that I started the process before I decided to make it a video, so the one I started out with was already modified. Now first up, it needed to be a miniature. That means it needed to have a base plate. So I took an old bottle cap I had lying around, and I filled the bottom with a bunch of super glue, and then pressed it into a spot I thought would be good. That turned out to not be a very strong solution, and I remembered an old tactic I've used in the past. See, I light a lot of incense all the time, so I have a bunch of piles of ash lying around with kind of no use. So I took a bunch of ash and I put them into the little bottle cap full of super glue. I didn't actually record that, but oh well. But the main reason I used the ash was actually to coat the skull. So I mixed a bunch of white paint and super glue and ash and smeared the skull's exterior. This would break up the smoothness of the plastic and add some interesting, weird textures. Do note this is supposed to be a kind of horror type figure, because I run a lot of horror games. Now it's going to take a while for you to get the right consistency. Generally speaking, you should use more ash. That'll help thicken it up. And if you don't have ash, you could probably use something like cornstarch. Just some sort of powdery thing. Advantage of that too is that there's a lot of nooks and crannies and air, making it really easy for the super glue to bond. Plastic is really smooth, so there's not a lot of hooks for the glue to grab into. So yeah, I started smearing the skull, and I did a few different coats till where I got where I wanted it. Now, while that was drying, I had some downtime, so I ran to the corner store and I grabbed a drink. Now, this right here is honey flavored cream soda from Sprecher, and it is fantastic. I would recommend getting it. Anyway, now that I took a detour for no reason, it was drying up pretty well. Now, of course, I added some extra coats, but it was generally time to start painting it. The ash left a very, well, ashy color to it, so I added a lot of white paint as a primer. So yeah, once I had that coat, it was time for more details. Keep in mind, after this top coat was done, I even added more of the paste I made around the eyebrow ridges and the mouth, just for that. Once that dried, I painted it again. This is a very non-linear process. Then it was time to add some blood. So this is a horrific monster, so I added red for the eyes. Most of the red was around its mouth, like it had been eating something, with some on the top of the head to make it look, rotty. However, I think I went a little overboard on the top, so I kind of scaled down the redness, added white on top of that, and that was pretty much the whole process. Pretty simple. I would recommend trying it out. It's pretty long, but it's pretty fun, so. Oh, and I forgot to mention, after all of it dried, I put clear coat nail polish right here. I put clear coat nail polish over it, and that leads to this really slimy, kind of rotty sort of effect, which is just perfect. Some of the reds that were covered up are kind of bleeding through in this orange color, which it looks really good. But anyway, now on to some glamour shots.